Hi guys, I'm here to talk to you about how I've lived with chronic regional pain syndrome. I've suffered with chronic regional pain, or RCD, for 3 years now without being diagnosed. I think I've only been diagnosed for about a year at Great Ormond Street Hospital. And I've just come out of staying there for 3 weeks, doing intense physio and learning pain management skills and relaxation to cope with the pain. The reason why I'm wanting to start this channel and to start talking about it is because not a lot of people have been starting discussions about chronic regional pain syndrome. There's only, I think, 3 specialists about it in Britain, and no, I haven't been able to find any teenagers talking about their living with it and helping other people. So I'm really wanting to start this channel to help and support other people who are going through the same thing that I'm going through. But if you hear any noise in the background, don't worry, that is just either my parents or my siblings or my dog. So just ignore it and try not to get distracted. I have suffered with it for 3 years, as I said, and it has been a roller coaster, to be completely honest. And I want to discuss with you how it happened and my story going through CRPS. So 3 years ago, I injured myself in mixed martial arts, during fighting. I injured myself when packing up after fighting, and I tripped, and my right foot has been injured, but that's the main source of pain. My toe bent all the way back, and I broke it. A few months after that healing, basically I got taken to A&E, and I was bandaged up and it was dripping with blood, and we did x-rays and they couldn't find anything because of the swelling, because my foot had become swollen. So I stayed at A&E until 4 o'clock in the morning. I got home, and after a few weeks, I'd say, it was in the summer holidays, after a few weeks it was starting to be okay. And I went on a walk with my family, and I was running down a hill, and my foot stub bashed into a log, and that caused my foot to have, they call it a Pac-Man fracture on my big toe. Basically a bit of my bone had chipped, causing a fracture across my growth plate, and 2 other toes had been fractured next to it. So after a few months, I then fell up the stairs and happened all over again, but instead this time it has healed now, it has completely healed, but because of the fracture my foot won't grow again. It hasn't grown since, so my foot has stayed smaller than my other one, which has been weird to cope with. But after I fell up the stairs, I did something to my brain. My brain signals into my foot. Basically, your nerve system sends messages from your brain into your body, telling you if you feel pain, if any movements you need to make. And for me, that has been messed up, if you could say. So my brain signals into my body are sending pain signals, which should be a warning that I've injured myself, like it did when I fractured it, but instead it's sending pain signals after the healing, so my brain thinks that I'm having pain when there shouldn't be any. And having to live with that is difficult, because for 2 years, I had doctors showing me nerve systems, I had pictures, I learnt about the sciatic nerve, maybe that was damaged because that goes all over your body. I had images showing me that the nervous system is cut, so below your hip, so that means that there's no pain, there's no reason why when you injure your foot that pain can't go into your head. I got placed on crutches, I had a boot for a few months, and that did nothing. It made the sensitivity of my foot go worse. I now can't have anyone touch my leg, my whole right leg, and it may spread. But then I got referred to Great Ormond Street by one of my doctors, and they diagnosed me with CRPS, chronic regional pain syndrome, and that is where my recovery started. I am still living with it today. I am still coping with it and trying to learn how to almost change everything so I'm able to calm myself down when a flare comes up, or as I call, a flash of pain. It is very difficult because your siblings and your family, your parents, they have to learn to cope with it as well. They have to learn how to not cause any of those flares to happen, like I can't be in the kitchen when the washing machine's on, and I can't even really be in the house when the hoover's on. So I understand when people say I'm in pain, because I can understand from a huge aspect at the amount of pain that they're going through. it's been difficult for me because while having the boot and not being believed by a lot of doctors, I had teachers, I had people, my friends, saying that I must have been lying. I had doctors saying, "Oh my gosh, look what you're doing to your parents, you're putting them through agony, stop being so dramatic." And I was going through an immense amount of pain, but I can say that this year has been one of the most. But as I said, I got referred to Great Ormond Street. I had a physiotherapist, a nurse, and I think a consultant, and a psychologist, and I think someone else which I can't really remember because it happened a year ago. And I walked into the room and told them the exact story of how it happened, and they diagnosed me with RSD or CRPS. And so I had several meetings with them to do my muscle strength, and it had gone very weak from being really athletic and not being able to do things for 3 years. My muscle has gone down a lot. And so they referred me. I just got back on Friday, but they referred me to stay in hospital for 2 weeks, where I did physio, intense physio, and they had these weights that they'd strap around your ankles, so it was build your muscle up like normal weights, and we did different exercises. They were very impressed on how my muscle has improved and grown, but for people that have done sports and then had an injury, it's very difficult for them, because when you look at how you used to, like the muscle tone because I used to have 6 packs of muscle, after that's gone and people are like, "Oh my gosh, you've built so much muscle," it's difficult to look at yourself and see an improvement. And I've told my parents and I've told doctors that I probably won't see an improvement until my muscle's grown. But then again, noticing that I'm able to cope, because usually I'd be screaming and I'd be yelling I'm on fire for 2 to 3 hours at most. But I had an incident a few weekends ago where a Hoover smashed me in the back, and I managed to calm myself down in 5 minutes. So you can see that progress, and because of what is going on, it's difficult to see that, and then a few days later you actually realise it. And I have been having to make changes in my life, so I have had to wear different shoes. I've had to have passes throughout school, trying to cope with it and trying not to knock my foot, because I've become tactile defensive. And if you don't know what that means just means I've become very protective on my leg. I won't let anyone touch it, because if they touch it, it sends a message. Even if I see a Hoover on the floor, it sends a message into my foot. Trying to talk about pain, if someone mentions that word, it sends a flash into my leg. And I'm really wanting to help other people out there because I honestly have not seen anyone, a teenager mainly, coping with CRPS. I've only seen adults above 20, so I'm really wanting to help other people who are having the same problem as me. Like, I met a friend in Great Ormond Street while I was having the treatment, and they have exactly the same problem. They've not been believed and they've not been trusted. But when you have that connection with someone that shows you that you're being honest and having that proof of, you don't need to care whether they understand what you're going through. So that is I'm really wanting to share my experience with the people, to also raise awareness, because not a lot of people know about this. I didn't even know about the condition when I got diagnosed. I had to do research, and mainly adult CRPS came up, and there's 2 different types of CRPS. And the adult one I believe is not curable, whereas it's good that I found mine at my age, otherwise I would have been living with it forever. Now, I've been told that it can be really quick that my brain signals stop. My brain has to realise that there's no injury that they have to warn me about. My brain has to realise that normal things like hoovering and someone touching your foot or wrestling, it won't cause pain. It shouldn't cause pain, someone touching your foot. That's just not, say, ordinary. And I'm trying to retrain my brain into being normal. Also, because of the way I've been walking on the side of my foot for 3 years, which means that the muscles in my leg have changed. So the muscles in the right side of my leg, so imagine that's my leg, these muscles should be longer than these muscles, but instead these muscles are longer than these muscles. And I've been given insoles by a podiatrist, and I've got special shoes which will lock my foot in place and press it flat. I also want to mention the fact about bullying. Now, I'm wanting to mention this because I feel very strongly about it. I'm wanting to help people around it, because if I see anyone getting bullied, it hurts me. Basically, because I got bullied for 8 years growing up, and suffered immensely. It was absolutely terrible, and I will get more into that in a different video. But it's difficult living with a condition where it's not visible. It's visible if someone's having crutches or a boot, or if they're in a cast or in a wheelchair. Whereas with my condition, you cannot see the pain. You can't pick it up. It can't be shown on X-rays. It's in your nervous system and it's in your brain. Your brain is basically lying to you, saying that there's pain when it's not. And when that happens, things at school or work or whatever you're doing, that can be affected immensely. One time, I won't mention the people or the person that did this, but I was in school walking around, and I have special high tops on, which I've had to go in the bin because I've had to get new ones. I was walking around school, and these boys came up to me, and they said, "Put a plaster on, take some Calpol, you're lying. How come you can walk so normally?" Now, I don't discuss to people how that makes me feel, and I will get into another thing about depression and everything, but I don't discuss to people about that. And them saying that really affected me, and I ran out of school crying, and I was telling my mum. And if you realise how pathetic it is, because they don't understand what you're going through, and they probably never will, because you can't explain to someone what pain or emotions you're going through, because there's so much to cope with. And it really is good if you can actually sit down and talk to someone, because I know if you're talking about it, I've been told that it can cause a lot more pain. So if you just have 30 minutes, like what I'm doing at home is having 30 minutes to discuss how I'm feeling and how emotional it is for me, I'm able to then calm down and cope with situations better. And because my mum explains it as a bottle, so I had the bullying, which is filled up a little bit and it's been shaken, so it's a little fizzy. Then I've had the CRPS, which has built up the bottle to the full amount, and you've shaken it and it's near explosion. You know when a bottle is about to erupt? And then the little things, like people saying silly things such as take some Calpol, put a sticker on it, you're being so dramatic, they will just fill up your bottle so much that you explode and cannot cope. Now, I'm understanding this because for me that has been very difficult to cope with, and it's difficult as well because of the things you might want to say to the person. They do not understand, and they will not unless they actually have the pain. No one can understand. No one can understand the amount that you're going through. So I really understand from that aspect of being told that you're a liar and you're just hurting people. Now, also from a sporty aspect, I haven't been able to do PE, and that's been very difficult because from someone that was loving sports, I used to love them. Love doing them every single day. Going from 100% fitness to nothing is very difficult for someone because you're really wanting to join in with your friends. You have to use a lot more energy just to do normal things. Even waking up in the morning can be very difficult. However, going to Great Ormond Street, if you remember me mentioning it, I went to Great Ormond Street, and from going in there, you actually feel like you're believed. They have cured 100 people with this condition. They have seen people go through the worst, and they understand. They're going to help you go through this. I went to Great Ormond Street feeling miserable. I felt like I was lying to myself and that I should just get over it. And going to Great Ormond Street, I actually burst into tears in the meeting. So I was finally believed after 2 years of not being so. I was finally believed, and that was a big relief for me. It was like a burden had been taken off my back. And it took me some time. I do still have some trust issues that I'm working on, because after I understand if you're not being believed, then that's very difficult for all of a sudden someone switch like that and tell you that you're saying the truth. The thing that you're coping with is real. So I had 3 weeks there, intense physio, and that was really weird for me because they're very you say normal exercises to do. You were in a room and you sit on yoga mats and you do sit-ups, you do back, you do leg raises, you do all normal activities, but it's working your muscles in such a way that you haven't used for such a long time that it builds up muscle. And you can't, for me, I can't really tell that I have, but for other people, they're shocked at how much my body's starting to tone and remembering how it used to be, and that my muscles are okay to work like that. Now, with the insoles then, it was very difficult to start with. I could barely walk in them. It was very difficult, but my mum came with me to Great Ormond Street, and we walked 15 minutes to a certain place I can't remember, and 15 minutes back in insoles that I'd never worn before. And people with my condition will understand that if something new's happening, it's the most painful thing ever, but I was able to do it because I learnt the coping strategies at Great Ormond Street, so I was able to pass something that may have been very difficult for me to achieve. Now I'm wearing them in full time. I've had them for I think a week now, but I've been wearing them in full time, and I bought some shoes yesterday which are there to help me and support me during walking, so I don't look like a penguin because I actually look like a penguin while walking, and my family have an ongoing joke. And I think it's actually really good to be able to joke about your condition and be able to see the good points in it. Because if you don't, then you're just going to break. If you don't, then you're not going to be able to cope with it and you'll just give up. Because of having family support is amazing, even friends, and the doctors are very, very supportive with me. They have 3 physiotherapists that are there to assist me, and they make jokes, and they're just lovely, lovely people to help you. So make sure you surround yourself in things that make you happy, because that's the most important thing. And my dog has just walked in. That is the most important thing, I think, that has helped me stay on guard. As I spoke about, having a condition and not being believed for such a long time will bring you down. It will break you. It just destroys you. And I can understand that. Coping with depression every single day. Now I'm going to explain these in different videos on how to cope and everything, but I think I just want to touch up on everything so you know what this is all going to be about. I have suffered with depression for 3 years since the injury, having not to do sport and everything that I loved. I wasn't able to join in wrestling with my brothers and sisters. I wasn't even able to do Just Dance, which is one of the most simplest sporting activities. I used to take my dog on 14-mile walks, and now that's lowered to 3. And for some people, that's a lot. 3 miles walking every single day is a lot to do. Whereas for me, going from 14 to 3, that is a big drop for me. So that will affect me immensely. Now I'm only 14 years of age. I had this when I was 11, and I believe I got bullied for 8 years, as I said, and a week later I got injured at mixed martial arts. Now mixed martial arts was my way of me to escape. It was a way of me being able to loosen up everything that happened to me and get anger out that I'd wanted to pursue on the person. And not being able to do that, I have a lot of energy, I have a lot of anger, and you sometimes let that out on people you love, which is also very, very difficult, because you want to be kind and you want to be able to cope with everything, because you've got so much going on that you won't be able to. It will just, like a Coke bottle, shaking it, you will just explode. And that is very difficult as well, being a teenager, because you've got all the new hormones that you're having to cope with. You've got all the new aspects of life that you're learning about, and not being able to do certain things like go out with your friends or wrestle with your family. That is very difficult, and I completely understand that. So I'm wanting to start this channel to talk to people, to meet people who have my condition. I'm wanting to help people and support them in whatever they're going through, because I understand that CRPS, yes, you get diagnosed with that, and many people have, but every single one person's time having it. So everyone that goes through CRPS will have a different experience. Now, one thing that people say is similar, feeling like you're burning or on fire. Now, I understand that, but meeting someone that has not a different CRPS, but in a different place, that's really weird, because they go through different things. Like, some people go through itching, while CRPS it burns so much that you feel like you've got ants all over, so you have to itch. But if you itch, it makes it worse, and if you don't, it makes it worse. Whereas with my CRPS, I have pain every single day, all the time, but I have learnt to cope with it. And flares I call them flashes, so flashes of pain, like they explode throughout your body, and it just spreads everywhere. You have pain all over in your body. It's very difficult to explain. So you have pain everywhere in your body, and there are just little pockets that go around in different places while you're having pain everywhere that make the pain 10 times worse in that certain body part, which can make you feel sick. I understand that a new one of mine is very struggling, not able to eat properly. I'm having to force myself to eat because it burns all the way down my throat when I'm chewing food. Now that's difficult for me because I love my food. I enjoy eating it a lot. But for me that's difficult because I'm not able to enjoy the food. Certain foods, different things cause different pains. Like eating soft foods or drinking milk or something or water feels like acid, and then like eating crisps, it feels like knives going down your throat. Now that is difficult and hard to listen to if you don't understand chronic regional pain, but it is very, very painful, and you are having to force yourself to do it, otherwise it will just get worse and worse, and maybe will turn into something even worse than you thought, like getting fed through a tube if you don't eat, which also would affect you immensely. Again, depression. It's just a huge cycle that you're having to go through. As well, not being able to do sports, your joints get affected, which then lowers your muscle, which then causes you sleep deprived. Now, I have been sleep deprived. I have not been able to sleep properly. I think I haven't had a good night's sleep in about 2 years. I will wake up in the middle of the night, be screaming sometimes. I've had one experience where I was in a deep sleep and I woke up screaming for 2 hours, which I completely understand. So I'm just wanting to make this channel to explain to people what it's like coping with it, and that I understand completely what they're going through, because it is difficult to cope with, but I'm wanting to show you how it can affect your life in a positive way, how you can change it, how you don't let the pain control you and take you down, how you can change it so you can be in control and you can say, no, I'm not going to live with this forever. Otherwise you won't even be able to leave your house because it's just so bad. If you are wondering, yes, I'm feeling pain now. They also say that they don't know when your pain's going to change. It can take a few weeks, months or years. So they don't know when my brain is actually going to click, and they don't know when I'm going to be able to cope with it. But all I can say is I'm lucky that I've been taken to Great Ormond Street, because the hospital I was at didn't help me at all. They just gave me things that made me more sensitive and more tactile, like a boot. I had a huge boot that went around my foot, and that made people chuck balls at me to try and cause me more pain, and that does affect you as well when people try and push you. But I really want to start this to help people who are coping with this, because not a lot of people with my condition have gone onto YouTube and tried helping other people, and I'm really wanting to do that to spread awareness about CRPS, because I know not many people in the world know about it or know what it's like to have it, and I can't fully describe what it feels like going through it, but I know that I'm able to from having it for ages. I really want to be able to support people and help people out that are going through the difficult times, and maybe situations that I've been through, like not being believed by doctors and specialists and being told that you're lying and going through physio that wasn't maybe right for you. Also talking about medication, when I first started it, not when I was diagnosed, but when I first injured myself, I was on paracetamol and ibuprofen together. I would take them together. And I'd get taken to A&E by my parents because it was worrying. Having your child scream and shout, I'm on fire, please pour water over me, ice water over me, that must be absolutely petrifying. So they'd take me to A&E and I'd have to go through the same thing all over again. Them saying they don't know what's wrong, them trying to give me different ways, different medication. I've been on, as I said, ibuprofen and paracetamol. And the pain was so bad that I got put on codeine phosphate, which for my age at 11, when I was 11, for that age, that was the highest painkiller they could give me. And that did nothing for me. That did not stop the pain at all. It probably made it worse. It would just make me sick. So I got taken off that. And then I got put on gabapentin. When I was taken to Great Ormond Street, I got put on gabapentin, which would make me fall asleep and almost cut off my brain signals into my leg to try and stop the pain. Now, I've had different experience with the gabapentin. I'd wake up and not know where I was, which was a side effect. I would not know who anyone was, which was scary at first, but that wore off after a while, after I got used to the tablet. And I got put on 1,800, which I was only meant to be on 900, but I got doubled. So I think it was my doctor got the prescription wrong and doubled it to 1,800, which at my age I shouldn't have been having, but also not to have an effect on the pain was a sign that I shouldn't be on it anyway, because it wasn't helping me at all. So I would collapse in school and people would get their phones out as a joke. to record me or something, and that was difficult, and I'd collapse on a walk. If I was walking my dog, I'd walk her for 3 miles now. That was difficult to cope with. And so I got taken off that, and I've been weaned off. I think I've been off it for a few months now, and I still have some side effects, but it was meant to help me sleep, and I remember not taking it and I wouldn't sleep. So I always had to take it, and I think that is still affecting me today, which also may make you sleep deprived. Now, if you are sleep deprived, that can make the pain worse. It can it's very weird to explain because not a lot of people do get sleep deprived, but if you are, you will completely understand. And it is weird because you're up by yourself, and if you're in pain, you wouldn't want to wake anyone. And you have to be silent, even if you're wanting to scream, you can't. As well, I understand at school, mentioning school, if you're at school and you're having a flare-up, you have to put a fake smile on. You have to act like nothing's happening because no one will understand. No nurse at your school may have even heard of your illness, your diagnosis. They may not have heard of it, and they may have researched it, but you don't know what to do. It's actually quite scary seeing someone with CRPS in pain because they can do anything. I've been on the floor screaming, not being able to breathe. Sometimes your body parts go numb. So it is very, very difficult to understand and show people at school what you're going through. Now at school I have had a flare-up and I've been sent to the nurse. I've gone purple in the face and shaking. My whole body's been physically shaking because I don't want to show them what I'm going through. I don't want to put that on them because at the time I was getting told that I was faking. So I've gone through CRPS. I have gone through a lot, and it is very difficult to live with still. But with chronic Great Ormond Street, I know I'm going to be able to cope with it, and I'm going to be able to live with it soon. And I've got so many things to look forward to. I'm going to start my GCSEs in less than 2 years, and then I already know what I want to do with my life. And having goals like that will almost want you to get through it more and do your exercises, because yes, you get physiotherapy to help you cope with it and build your muscle strength up. You still have to push yourself to do things, even though it may take a lot more energy. You need to push yourself so you're able to almost have a normal life. You want to make it as normal as possible, not trying to change it. So if that's what my channel's about. I just want to help people and to spread awareness. I know I think in America there's a CRPS month where people do raise awareness. So I know all about that, but I'm just wanting to do this so people that are near me or around the world, if you are needing help or advice, mainly advice, that from someone that has actually gone through it, then I'm really wanting to help, because I know different diagnoses, everyone has a different experience with it, because we're not all the same people, but I'm really wanting to share awareness about it and just help other people that are going through it. Maybe you've just been diagnosed and you don't know what's going to happen. I want to support you in that. I want to be able to tell you my experiences, which is going to be every single video that I post. So yeah, that's what I'm wanting to do. This is my story, my introduction video. I'll go in more depth about different things. And if you're wanting advice on different subjects like bullying, CRPS, coping with pain, any pain in general, maybe mainly bullying and CRPS, but I also want to make it a fun and happy place, so not always focusing on CRPS and bullying. I'm wanting to do some fun things as well with my siblings, mainly bring them along, and I'm wanting to bring them in to show other people how it may affect your family and what they've done to cope with my condition, because it does affect absolutely everyone, because they have to make sacrifices for you as well. So yeah, I hope that you will enjoy this channel, and I hope that in the future we are actually able to help and support other people. So I hope you enjoyed this video of my story, and hopefully I can help someone out there. Okay, thank you, bye.